In this video, we're going to show you how the Beep Coach for Tennis training aid, along with the contact trainer, can assist you to learn the forehand ground stroke. Now, even if you're not a beginner tennis player, I think you're going to get a lot of value from this video by reviewing the key checkpoints and principles of the forehand. So I will be demonstrating in this video for a right-handed player. So lefties, keep in mind you're going to have to flip things around. Now, before we get on to why the contact trainer is so important to work on the most important fundamental of the forehand, and before we get on to the other checkpoints and principles, let's just quickly go over grips. Now, the trick with the grips is you want to use a line from the bottom knuckle of your index finger kind of to a spot just where your hand meets your wrist, above that bump there. On the front of your hand, it's going to be where it runs to that bottom palm pad. If you put that line on the correct side of the racket, it's going to avoid another common problem we see where your hand is kind of on the grip like a hammer. You notice when I hold onto the racket, you'll see how this index finger is up, kind of like a trigger finger. It's going to give you more leverage, more control of the racket head. Now, so that line, what you want to do for the grip I would like you to use is an Eastern forehand grip. So you're going to put that line on the number 3 side of the racket. So if you start from the top edge, we have number 1, number 2, number 3. Just put that bottom knuckle with the correct line on that number 3 side of the racket. And I find that really aligns the palm of the hand with the racket face. And also this grip, I think, gives you a lot of diversity of shots. You will see some people get over to a semi-Western grip where they're on number 4, but I definitely would like you to try out number 3. I feel, again, it gives you lots of diversity, and you can still get tons of topspin with this grip. Now, before we get on to the other key positions and principles on the forehand, I really want you to keep in mind that most important principle that we're going to use the Beep Coach and contact trainer with. Everything we're going to do is going to get us to this point where, if you've seen the previous videos on how to use the Beep Coach, you'll see how important the fundamental of having the racket hooded below contact or the projected ball out, lifting your shoulder till you hear a beep, and then finishing with the racket high, noticing how the strings are still pointing out in the correct direction. So everything we're about to do is going to get us to this point where you get below impact and you lift. In fact, if you went out and you tried to play tennis and all you did was try to get the racket here and finish here, you'd be having a lot of success. Okay, so now let's go over the ready position. This is the position from which you're going to kind of prepare for all of your essential strokes that you're going to use other than the serve. And pretty much you just want to have that Eastern forehand grip. That's the grip you're going to wait with, same as what you should be using on your forehand. The left hand's going to kind of be the same on top of that. And you want your racket centered out in front, and you want to have your elbows off your body. Now notice how my racket's tilted forward slightly so I can see over the edge and also have less adjustment when I turn. So definitely always have a disciplined ready position. I see a lot of people kind of get lazy with it here, and then as you get better at tennis, it just takes extra time to prepare, which you don't really have. So have a disciplined ready position, arms off your body, elbows slightly raised, racket centered and slightly tilted forward, and you'll be ready to go. Okay, from the ready position, our first key position is the unit turn. You can pretty much think of it as the ready position facing the side with a little separation of the hands. Notice the similarities between the ready position and the unit turn. I simply get my racket back high. This is for a lot of reasons: disguise, movement, and a big one is power. Because once you have your unit turn, your racket's going to drop with gravity to that key low and closed position we talked about. This is where the contact trainer comes in. So let's practice that a couple times. I want you to go from your ready position to your unit turn, let gravity drop the racket low and closed, and from here you really just let it rip into the real purpose of the Beep Coach. So let me turn it on. So I'm going to go ready position, turn, it drops low and closed, and then you're just going to lift your shoulder out to the target. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the ready position can happen fast. You can get this done early because you can still move with kind of a half turn. But once it drops, it's going to keep going. So there's definitely some fluidity and continuation between the drop of the racket and then the swing. So don't stop at that low and closed position. Feel the downswing, make the upswing. Remember, one of the biggest reasons for the unit turn is that it's going to give you a little extra momentum and power. The downswing is going to make the upswing, kind of like a swing set or a roller coaster. High, low, high. Okay, so we have our ready position, we have our unit turn, the racket drops low and hooded to the ground, and then you simply lift your shoulder and swing out. Now, on the follow through, it's going to vary depending on the shot you hit, but definitely a couple things you always want to have happen are finishing with your racket in your opposite hand, so catching your racket hand to hand. Notice how my chin is at my right shoulder. And then also, most importantly, notice how all my weight is off the back leg that I pushed off of. Tennis is a lifting sport. With some other sports, you're only twisting. Tennis, you're coming from below the ball. So you're definitely lifting up into the ball. So you want to be off that back leg when you're done. So the two major principles on the forehand, one are that when you have your racket face hooded below impact and then you create a nearly vertical racket face at impact and then finish high, you're going to be getting the ball to go up through friction. You're going to have the strings have a grabbing effect and pull the ball up. You're going to feel the ball move on the strings. You're going to see the ball rotating off your racket. This is so important as it's going to impart topspin on the ball. This is going to allow you to hit hard, hit high over the net, and still have the have the ball drop into the court. So remember, this is so important. This is one of the most important, if not the most important principle on the ground stroke. And then two is just that you generally want the shape of the swing to be like a Ferris wheel. You want it to be a vertical swing for a vertical spin. You don't want to swing like a merry-go-round where your swing comes around your body like that. So to review, we have our Eastern forehand grip. We have a disciplined ready position. We're going to turn our body sideways, separate our hands, and that's going to give us our unit turn. One other thing to keep in mind is look where my left arm is out here. That's going to help me with balance. It's going to help me turn my body. It's going to help me use this arm as a reactive brake to swing faster, all kinds of good things. So after the unit turn, let's not stop, but we're going to have a low and closed position, and then we're going to just lift our shoulder, and we're going to finish hand to hand off our back leg with our chin to our right shoulder for a righty. So again, turn, low and closed, lift. So once you have down that general swing shape and principles, you can start to try to swing faster. See if you can get the beep to happen as quick as possible. So watch how I'm going to turn here, separate my body segments, drop, and come back together. It's not very easy, but with a little practice, you're going to have a great forehand.